Welcome to episode number 32 of the Castbar. Good news! Patch 6.2 is coming sooner than anyone expected. To go right alongside that, you can enjoy some fun in the Midsummer Fire Festival. Finally, we might not be as bored, considering we'll have a bit more to do. Short show today leaves without a closer look, but we'll wrap up our Hellfire Citadel of old with a review of Shattered Halls. Thank you and enjoy. Welcome everybody to the Castbar, the World of Warcraft podcast channeling your content with no interrupts. Today is Sunday, June 21st at 3:45 Pacific Standard Time. I need to get better at writing my own intros, because you don't get to hear how many times I flopped over that. Evan is gone today. He is out with some Father's Day business, but I do still have Florian. Florian, how are you?
Pretty good. You?
I'm doing pretty good, yeah. My boss has been gone all week, so I've just been getting to do my own stuff at work. It's Father's Day, and my kid made me this adorable little tie card thing. It's really cute that she painted. Other than that, just the Alaska State budget finally got funded, so I get to, still keep a job next year, so that's nice.
Very nice, very nice.
Other than that, though, not a whole lot. Deactivating followers so I can get more, what are these, treasure hunter followers so that I can, pile on some more gold.
They're always nice to have, especially since followers are going to become less important with 6.2.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'll become more of a gold farm than anything else.
Well, and I'm trying to jump on that train before they, because they haven't said what they're going to do in terms of nerfing the gold, but I would like to get my little piece of that if possible before they nerf everything away.
May as well while the getting's still good.
Yeah, if it's there to get, I'll take free gold. I like free money.
Yeah. Well, that's why they need to nerf it to begin with, because everybody's jumping on it immediately.
Well, yeah, with 6.1 when they gave that treasure hunter thing over, and it was like, whoa, look at all of this cash. Like, I guess it's to the point now that sometimes WoW tokens just aren't available for sale because everyone can crank out, 30 to 40k real easy through their garrisons.
True.
Which, let me ask you something on that real quick. Do you think we will still have, will we still be able to go back and do all this every day come next expansion? Like, because you can still go do your farm.
I don't see why not. It doesn't do Blizzard any good to deactivate any of that stuff.
Right.
I could see where they might nerf the gold after a new expansion comes out so that people don't feel like they have to continue doing the WoD garrison content just to get their daily gold on their characters. But I can't see any reason why they would take the content out.
Yeah, see, I don't either. Which... It makes me wonder what, unless they really nerf or just remove the gold missions entirely next expansion. But otherwise, gold already is slowly becoming less and less meaningful. And we've talked about this previously of what garrisons have done to the economy and all that and just the expansion. But if this is something that we can maintain, even, let's say right now with 3 tunes, you can probably make more than this. But let's say, you can make 50k a month through your garrison by just running the treasure hunter missions. Even if they, nerf it by 50%, that's still 25k a month that you're just like, woohoo!
Yeah, pretty much. I'm seeing, best case scenario, there's going to be some pretty bad inflation continuing to happen because people have more and more gold, and it makes everything, and it's making gold totally worthless. And unless they nerf this garrison thing really hard, then when the new expansion comes out, they'll have to put out a ridiculous amount of gold in the new expansion's content, which I can't see being very good for the market.
Could we be seeing sometime in the near future an expansion of the currency. So like sometimes now you see people talking about like when do we get our platinum pieces, or whatever different thing you want to use depending on which game you're using as a comparison.
Yeah, I could potentially see that happening in the long term, but it would have to be like in the very far future, I think.
Don't think we're quite there yet.
I don't think we're quite at that point yet, but I think it'll eventually happen.
Okay. So, does that mean gold caps will change? Because right now you can only hold 1 million gold on your character, which apparently that's just not that much money anymore.
No, 1 million gold used to be an absurd amount of money, but now it's not that much. And if inflation keeps up at this rate, sooner or later, gold cap is going to become a real problem. They'll either have to raise the cap or they'll have to somehow expand the currency system. I mean, it's going to have to happen unless they put some kind of, I don't know, maybe they can do a gold squish, like the item squish, make everything drop less gold over time.
Sounds difficult.
I don't know. Oh, well, there's no easy solution. That's definitely for sure.
Yeah, and you can't just literally take gold away. Like, you can't just, suck 10% out of every place where there's gold because people will get angry because you're, taking their hard-earned gold away from them. I don't know. Anyway, let's go and get into the news. Welcome to the news, everybody. I warned you, news is rather light as we were just waiting for Tuesday to roll around. So it was, on Tuesday or Monday that they did announce that patch 6.2 will be arriving this Tuesday, June 23rd. I didn't see it coming this quickly because we didn't actually get the official 2 weeks notice for the arena season.
Yeah, this is very short notice for a patch to come out, which I guess kind of screws over the PvPers a little bit, but we get it faster. So
they still got their notice, and now they still. I mean, once they give you that, hey, season's ending soon, that's really when people should really be trying to push for their season 2K plus 25K, 2.5K ratings anyway. If you wait longer than that, then you might just not have the time to get there.
Probably true.
Couple small things, but we're not going to go back over everything we've already talked about. 6.2 at this point is a very dead horse, but we did get a little bit more information of a couple other things that are coming. Have you seen the boars, the new boars, wolves, or the hippos, the animations for when they run?
I haven't seen their animations yet, no.
It looks real silly. So, their walk animation looks really good because they have this real natural flow to their hooves and stuff. But the only thing that the run animation does is just make that same walk animation go faster. So it kind of looks like it just looks like, they're trying to walk super fast, which doesn't work because the walk and a run is much different for those animals.
Yeah, I did see that. I thought you meant that there was some kind of new walk cycle that they were releasing now.
All I know is they haven't. I don't think they've shown it yet, but they're updating the animations for those mounts so that they don't look so derpy.
Yeah, that would be nice because it seems like they only made one animation, just the walk animation, and then just sped it up for the run. And especially with the hippos, it looks very bizarre and awkward.
It's that is not a natural movement, at least not at that speed.
Looks very strange and inefficient, to be honest.
Which is sad, because, my favorite mount is the blue hippo that Silt High drops in Talador. That's the mount that I use all the time right now, and I'm just this looks real weird. They kind of walk like those new... Have you seen the video of those new robotic dogs that were made for the military?
Yeah, I know the ones you're talking about.
Yeah, they kind of walk like those.
Yeah, I think that's actually a pretty good comparison. It's pretty similar. It's it almost tries to be organic, but it's still clearly mechanical.
Well, and that's the unfortunate part because the walk animation is really nice and super organic, but it doesn't work at any speed besides walking. Well, at least they're taking the time to update it. Also, apparently, female orc run animations look weird. Is this something that you have seen?
They looked okay to me.
I
I didn't see
didn't.
anything in place.
Yeah, I didn't
But
see a problem. I know people were real upset with the male night elf, and that one already got fixed. But I guess female orcs had an issue that I wasn't aware of.
I guess it depends. Like, if you play a female orc, I'm sure it's very noticeable, but I don't play any female orcs. So, even if I saw a female orc, I probably wouldn't be paying that much attention.
Sure.
It's probably one of those things that only really bothers you if you see it all the time because you're playing that class.
Maybe, I guess. I played a female orc for a little while when I faction changed my shaman, but that was only for a couple of months. So, one other change that's coming in 6.2 is human female eyebrows are getting changed. I guess our eyebrows are too high.
If Blizzard says so. Once again, I didn't see anything wrong with them, but
I play every single one of my characters besides my shaman is a female human, and I never noticed this problem. Of course, you don't look at your character's face that much, so
it's true. You're constantly wearing helmets and hats and all sorts of weird things covering your head.
well, and also, I mean, it's a third-party game, and so always you're just seeing the back of your head instead of your face really ever. The only time you really see your face is like in your portrait, for your whatever this thing's called, the little thing that has your health and mana and buffs and stuff.
And that's if you even see that. I have my UI.
It's
I
just
don't
bars.
Get to see my portrait. Yeah, I just see bars.
Sure. Like there's some that are real neat, like the icy HUD, the ice HUD or whatever it's called, where the bars are little parentheses around your character.
Yeah, I know the style of HUD you're talking about. I don't know the name of it, but
I think it's called ice HUD or something like that. Anyway, but so apparently we're getting new eyebrows. They're being lowered because, like, I'm looking at them right now and I still don't feel like they look that bad, but I guess they need to be lowered because right now it looks like all female humans are apparently trying to hold their eyes open by raising their eyebrows. Maybe kind of like 4-year-old little kids do. If I just hold my eyebrows up real hard, my eyes will stay open.
Perhaps.
To go alongside the launch, the announcement of 6.2, there was a cinematic trailer that was released, which normally comes with every big patch, especially patches that have raids in them. We didn't get one for 6.1, correct? Because 6.1 was so weak.
Yeah, they probably, because they've already said that. I think it was mentioned in the interview last week with Ian Hazukosis, actually.
That it should have been 6.0.5 or something.
Yeah, it should not have been a full 0.1 patch. And I think that's why they didn't make a trailer. They knew there wasn't anything worth trailering for.
Well, when the name of your patch is literally Garrison's Update.
Yeah, it's not a very catchy name for a patch.
An update should not be considered I mean, technically patches just are updates, but in the grand scheme of things, in terms of WoW terminology, that doesn't quite work.
Definitely true. This thing was a lot better, though. It was a really good trailer.
I'm gonna try and play it, and and you should be able to hear this, assuming that I do this correctly. Maybe.
Uh-oh. There's going to be some interesting results.
Well, I have to turn down the normal sound, so hopefully this isn't too quiet or too loud. The trailer starts out real quiet, though. Let me know if you hear... Yeah, there it goes. I think. Yeah!
Yep, that's definitely trailer.
I just hope it's not too loud. So it starts out atop, I'm guessing that's Sarge Garrus's seat or whatever it's called.
You were destined to be
yeah, I think that's the name of the spot.
And instead, you chose...
Throne of Kil'jaeden is what it's called in Old World. So what we have right now is Gul'dan has Grummosh, and he's all bound by fell chains, and he's telling him that he's a complete letdown.
Power demands. A citadel of hellish fire worthy of my masters. A monument to entomb the souls of all who would dare to defy us.
They will defy you. I have seen their forces in battle. They are fearless. It does not matter what vile creatures you summon to the battle. They will persevere. Their resolve is unbreaking. They will come. They will fight. And they will wash their blades of your blood in victory.
Fight if you must, Hellscream. It is no matter. In the end, we all serve the Legion.
Patch 6.2, Hellfire Citadel. Whoa. By the way, does the guy who voice acts Grom, was he the same guy that voice acted Garrosh? Because they sound way too alike. Or is that just because they're orcs?
I don't know for sure, but that sounds like a plausible theory.
Because when he started talking, he sounded just like Garrosh did, in just like anything Garrosh does. Especially in the cinematic, where Garrosh is like, times change. He sounded exactly the same as that.
It could be. It wouldn't surprise me to hear the same voice actors being recycled, especially for orcs, since they all have... this is going to sound racist, but they kind of all sound the same.
Except for Thrall, because, you know, he's Thrall. He has to be something different.
Well, he's special. He's Green Jesus.
Yeah.
You can't treat him like a normal orc.
Because that's not racist either.
But the only other thing, the thing that surprised me about the trailer was we've already know that the final boss of Hellfire Citadel is going to be Archimonde.
Right.
Who is, he's kind of a big deal. And he was nowhere in this trailer. Which quite surprised me. I was waiting the entire time for Archimonde to pop up and just be like, hey, I'm Archimonde.
Well,
but didn't happen.
My guess is that Archimonde doesn't actually... Because we know that when we get to the top of the Citadel, that there's like the big fell portal there. Have you seen that picture of the big giant fell portal that's up there?
I have not. I'm trying to spoil as little as I can.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so since I already spoiled it, there's a big giant fell portal at the top of Hellfire Citadel. I'm assuming demons or something are going to come out of it. I imagine we get up there and Archimonde steps out. I'm assuming. Yeah,
I figured that probably meant he would be summoned during the raid itself.
Yeah.
And that would be part of the raid's plot. Still a little disappointed though. I like seeing really big baddies in trailers.
Well, it kind of gives a false impression because, like, in most of them, we see the end boss, and in this form, it just makes us feel like it's Gul'dan. But according to the raid, it's Archimonde, and Archimonde has even gotten to be tested. So. I don't know.
The question, do we fight Gul'dan here? That's the question. And I don't think we do. He's not on the boss list, if I remember correctly.
No, and
so he may still.
I won't spoil anything for the legendary quest line, but the quest line doesn't immediately involve Gul'dan, and it's kind of like how in the Miss Pandaria quest line, once you finish pretty much all the quest line, you have another quest that says go stop Garrosh. You have one of those for Gul'dan, which really confuses me. So maybe Gul'dan is at the top of Hellfire Citadel, and he summons Archimonde, and maybe Archimonde like squishes Gul'dan's head because Gul'dan is a tool. I don't know.
It's possible. I just hope it's not another situation where we show up and then Gul'dan's there. He's like, haha, I'm evil. And then Thrall just kills him and takes all the credit for our work.
Oh, dude, that's already going to happen.
I'm worried that'll happen again, and I really don't want it.
Nope, Grom is going to kill him and take credit for all of our work. And he'll be the new war chief, and Vol'jin will just be like, yeah, whatever. Because horde politics don't actually exist.
Maybe.
I didn't say it was a good plan.
We'll see when it comes out on Tuesday, actually. But,
Something I can kind of actually see is like Grom and Gul'dan are at the top of Hellfire Citadel, and Gul'dan opens the portal and Archimonde steps through, and on probably mythic difficulty, Archimonde changes Gul'dan into some evil thing, and then you kill Gul'dan there. Maybe, I don't know.
Possible. We'll see. Gul'dan's got to get his reckoning at some point, though.
And, maybe we'll still have a little micro patch raid or something after this one for, a Sunwell or a Ruby Sanctum of sorts that we go stop Gul'dan in.
That's what I'm thinking might happen, especially since we haven't heard any rumblings of a new expansion yet. So it almost seems like we're going to need another tier.
Well, and the other strange thing is that we have a new monument, which I still don't have any of the monuments for your garrison, by the way, because, but where is it? The one that we thought for the longest time was that time is a flat circle, and it's that one where Gul'dan and Khadgar are throwing fireballs at one another. Mm-hmm. But we have a picture now of a new monument you get for your ring, and it's a monument of your ring that's floating up there and being all magical. So that the legendary questline gives you that ring. So that must mean that Draenor with Gul'dan gives you something else in some way to get the Gul'dan fighting Khadgar monument. I guess
that would make sense. And I was definitely on the boat of the people who assumed that was the legendary questline related. So, who can tell at this point? I'd say it's more evidence to the fact that there's going to be more content after 6.2. Whether that's a full raid tier or just a smaller micro patch, as you called it, that'll remain to be seen.
I don't know. I'm not too excited about it overall. But, maybe they can make me excited if we just get a little bit farther into things. Maybe.
Hopefully.
Next item on the news is the Midsummer Fire Festival, starting today, or if you are listening to this on Monday, starting yesterday. There is it's not new, but one of the world holiday events has kicked off. It is the Midsummer Fire Festival, and what is this actually celebrating? Is this supposed to be the summer solstice celebration? Is that what this is?
This seems like the most likely thing.
Oh, or
really?
I don't know any other holiday that's right around here, really.
I don't think there are any. It's pretty much Father's Day, I think the summer solstice, and then I guess 4th of July, but this is a little early for that.
Well, and they have their own special one for 4th of July, the Fireworks Spectacular, where there's fireworks going off 24 hours a day in Stormwind and Orgrimmar and Dalaran and I think somewhere else.
Yeah, so I don't know what the Midsummer... To be fair, it doesn't necessarily have to have an analog. Azeroth can have its own holidays if it wants to.
No, it can't.
I mean, Blizzard doesn't really do that generally, but they could.
Right.
They could be imaginative. I mean, if they wanted in their fantasy game, but whatever.
So for those of you that haven't been with us for, 20 episodes or whatever, at the New Year's, we were all asked to do a New Year's resolution that was WoW related. Florian's was that he was going to become an auction house guru, or was it just that you just wanted to have a bunch of money or something by the end of the year?
My goal was to get filthy rich. How I did it doesn't matter.
Okay. Evans was PvP, right? He one season he needed to hit 2K PvP rating or something.
I don't want to speak for him because
Sure.
I don't remember. But I think it was something PvP related.
Right. And then mine was, because I'd never done any of them, that I would do all of the holiday events and in a single year complete everything for what a long, strange trip it's been. This marks the halfway point in terms of the year. I don't know if it marks halfway in terms of actual holidays. But so I will be doing this and reporting back my grumpiness findings on these. Most of these holiday events I despise because they're lame. After this, let's see, with Midsummer Fire Festival, fireworks doesn't count. There's nothing in there. Pirates Day doesn't count. Brewfest. I don't know if Brewfest is. I don't think Brewfest is part of it, but Harvest Festival is. That's the Thanksgiving one. And then we don't have. Oh, maybe it's Pilgrim's Bounty, or maybe it's both of those. I don't know. And then there's Christmas. So I got 3 or 4 left at this point. Oh, and Halloween. Darn, I got tons of these to do. I'm not excited. Anyway. If you plan on doing Midsummer Fire Festival, be ready to be bored, as most of these happen that way. At least that's my opinion. They're short and sweet and give you something to do for about 2 days, and then you never have to do them again. As the same as the Lunar Festival and the what will be Halloween when it gets here, your goal to complete the achievement to get your meta achievement, as well as the long strange trip it's been, is to just fly everywhere. They put these little fires, these little bonfires in every zone, and you have to go there and, you know, do a little dance at each zone, as well as like juggle some torches and dance around a fire and go put out some fires at like the capitals of the opposing faction, and then you're done. And congratulations, you've, you know, completed another holiday event. Will you be doing this, Florian?
No.
No.
I don't do holiday events.
I don't blame
except
you at
for
all.
except for the Halloween event, which is pretty sweet. But
You just do the dungeon though, right? Or do you actually do the event?
oh well, by event I mean go and beat the crap out of the headless horseman.
And-
That's as far as I'm concerned is the event.
Okay.
The candy and the running around and all that, they can keep it.
Yeah.
There is no need for jovialness.
There is a special item, essentially a special, like most holiday events have something special attached to them, whether it's a neat toy, a lot of them have mounts, some of them have, you know, lots of different things. Like Florian just mentioned, the headless horseman, he drops his mount, which is a flying dark horse with, you know, flaming feet. It kind of looks like a warlock's fell steed, just anyone can use it. For the Midsummer Fire Festival, there's a few transmog things, a couple of toys, and I think a pet or two. The big thing, though, that most people, I can't say most because it depends on your class, that a lot of people look for when it comes to the Midsummer Fire Festival is there's a dungeon that you can do. It is the Frost Lord Ahun. You need to be max level to queue up for it. I don't know if there's an item level for it. The thing about this is that once a day you'll get a little, for defeating him, you get a little bag, and inside the bag can be a couple different things. The one that everyone goes gaga over is the Frost Scythe of Ahun, and what it is this big, giant, awesome-looking scythe that you can't really tell if it's made out of, like, white steel or ice, and it's got this cool, bluish glow around it. It's really nice, and most people want it for transmog. But I warn you that it is only a staff, so unless you can wield a staff, it is kind of useless to you in forms of transmog. But it does look really good, and it's one of, I think it actually is the only scythe that is a staff. All of the other scythes are considered pole arms, which means you cannot transmog them if you are like a mage. My question, though, is that it's item level 600. That seems super low. Would you, like, because wasn't the little Christmas tree dagger from Christmas, wasn't that a 635 dagger?
Yeah, that's actually, you know, like even the items you get in 600 in level 100 normal dungeons are what, like 610, 615, something like that.
I think so, something along those lines.
I mean, even in a grind, you can pick up a bunch of items higher than item level 600. That seems
super
really,
low.
Really low. Yeah, I'm not really sure who they're expecting to go for that. Like, the only people who are going to go for it are the people who are super into getting that particular transmog, who can also use that transmog.
Yeah, and that'd be the only reason that I'm doing it, is to get the transmog. But I was just baffled that it's only 600. Now, maybe the guide that I was looking at was wrong. Wowhead normally isn't wrong, though. They're very good at not being wrong. So, I mean, this just, like, In terms of awesome purple loot, this seems kind of insulting.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's definitely a failure as a loot item, but that's always been the history of like special events. When Blizz has a special event, they usually don't give out like a really good item.
I just expected a little bit better, like maybe like item level like 650.
650 sounds about fair, especially with 6.2 right around the corner, where we're going to have 650 gear pretty much thrown at us from every direction.
Mm-hmm.
So that seems like a reasonable number, but this is what Blizzard decided to go with.
Okay, I just found something that says it is item level 635, which still isn't very good. It's only
better, but
it's only 5 item level above heroics.
Yeah, it's still not significantly better than heroic gear. So, I guess if you just started and you're still gearing up through heroics, maybe it's okay. It seems like a very small population is actually going to find that weapon useful.
Besides transmugging it.
Besides transmog, which is of course the main thing. With holiday items
it's super awesome. It's the best looking scythe already, and it's a staff, which means you can use it on your frost mage, which is where I see it more than anything else, is on frost mages. Which
makes sense. Although it's a little weird that they're giving a handout to frost mages during the Midsummer Fire Festival. Just feels a little wrong.
Well, the Frost Lord is trying to cancel summer. I mean, it's like, you know.
Yeah, like I understand the plot, but I don't know. I guess I'd be bummed out if I played a fire mage and they gave all the frost mages cool stuff at the fire festival.
Well, fire mages never get anything good, so you're fine on that. You're used to disappointment.
That makes sense. Which is why I don't play a fire mage.
I would if I had a mage. Fire's fun. We don't actually have another news topic. It was just something for me to break things up a little bit. As I said during the intro, this is a little bit of a short week for us. We had a couple things that we wanted to talk about for a closer look, but without Evan and without a stand-in, we tried to get a guest onto the show. Being Father's Day weekend, though, lots of people are busy. We have chosen instead to just cut the closer look. We would rather give you a higher quality, shorter show than give you the full show and it be, well, lower quality. Nothing against me or Florian. It's just, it's always better to have 3 ideas going against each other than 2 because, well, I said so.
Very true.
As far as I'm aware, though, we're back at full strength next week. We'll have a patch next week, so we'll be rocking and rolling real strong after today. So look forward to that. Anything else, Florian? Before we go into the review?
No, I think that's about it.
Cool.
Let's go ahead.
Oh, and one last thing on the Midsummer Fire Festival. There is a title that you can get, as with most of the holidays. This one is Flame Warden if you're Alliance, or Flame Keeper if you are Horde. Going into the review, though, with the upcoming raid patch 6.2 Hellfire Citadel, we had been slowly working our way through the dungeons and the raid that are associated with Hellfire Citadel in the original Outlands, back from the Burning Crusade. With 6.2 coming this Tuesday, we have our last entry, and that is the 3rd dungeon in the series, which is Shattered Halls. If you are not familiar with our review section, we split it into 3 parts: ambience, gameplay, and lore. Ambience is the look, the feel, the sound, the textures, just, you know, how everything just is presented to you. Gameplay is the mechanics, the numbers, the loot, the bosses, the trash, etc. And then lore, obviously, is the story that is attached to the dungeon. And so we will kick it off with ambience. Like last week, Florian, since we don't really have the trifecta to go into each section, we'll just kind of open it up and just spikes. we mentioned how many spikes there were for Blood Furnace, and they just decided that wasn't enough.
Never enough spikes in any kind of horde, iron, fell, otherwise. And this place is definitely packed with them. It's definitely true.
I think these spikes are alive because they've started to infect the armor of the orcs in the hallways, and they're like in their face and stuff. Just a disease at this point.
That's possible. They could be some kind of weird tumors, which, you know, when you're hanging around a bunch of like unholy, I don't know, just unholy magic and stuff, you know, it might develop some weird growths. So that wouldn't surprise me at all.
So lots of red. The thing that does confuse me, though, that I immediately want to bring up is that you go into this first hallway, and, you know, they got the hallway full of orcs and stuff. Behind each of the statues, there is lava. Where did this lava come from?
That was bothering me as well, because nothing we've seen in Hellfire Peninsula has been volcanic. And as far as I can tell, we're supposed to be on the second floor of a building.
Yeah.
At least based on where the entrance to the dungeon is. So I don't know. It's just lava.
It's not quite actually lava because there's not like a liquid surface to it, but it is poofing like it's lava, but it doesn't hurt you. So it's not officially lava in terms of the game, but there's not really another way to describe these little lava pits that are along the sides here.
Yeah, I don't really see why it's there, because, I mean, like, let's be real. I'm building a citadel that I'm going to fill with, like, soldiers that I'm going to use to do whatever it is they do here. You know, and I've got, like, lava in the building for reasons that I don't entirely understand. I'm going to get rid of the lava. If the lava's part of the ground, I'm just going to build a floor over it. It doesn't seem very safe. Like, if this place was like a forge or something, I could understand.
But it's not.
Use it for its heat. But this isn't. It's supposed to be it's a citadel. It's a military facility. So it makes absolutely no sense to have all this exposed lava. It's just a serious safety hazard. Totally unacceptable.
It just seems wrong.
Yeah.
This is a place, though, that, like, so one of the things that often bugs me whenever I see citadels or anything like that, or even like some of the keeps and stuff when you're questing and leveling up, is the sheer lack of room and board, essentially, for all the soldiers there. It is nice, like, there's not very many hammocks in this first room after you go down the hallway, but it is nice there to at least be some, because, like, you know, Stormwind Castle presumably has, even in terms of the game, probably has, 100 soldiers inside. We'll go with 20 NPCs, and there's nowhere for them to sleep. Like, I understand suspension of disbelief, but can I at least pretend like there's a room where these people are supposed to be?
I do understand that. It's something that bugged me for a while as well, until I thought about the fact that it's just not interesting to the player population. Like, I live in a barracks, so I can tell you from experience that it is not a very interesting place.
That's fair.
So, if they make all this extra space and like, oh, these are the barracks rooms, like, there's nothing interesting to put in there. It's just going to be hammocks, pretty much. So, I can understand them leaving that out a lot of the time.
Yet they devoted an entire building in our garrisons that we never step into just to represent a barracks.
Oh, I've stepped in there one time. I can't step in there anymore. That place is filthy.
So much like the barracks you're in now?
Oh God, no. No. Barracks, that place, it's way messier than a military barracks should actually be. If any sergeant I've ever had walked into there, he'd probably have an apoplectic fit.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, they've got crap laying around all over the place, and I don't know what Alliance soldiers live in my barracks, but they need to get their stuff cleaned up.
You guys have problems.
They definitely do. But back to the dungeon, which is actually what we're talking about. This dungeon actually looks really, really good, considering it's from Burning Crusade times. And I think a lot of that comes down to the design of the dungeon.
I think a lot of it's actually the lighting, too, because they do a lot of shading with the purple lights and stuff, so it really, without real bright lights being shown onto the old textures, they don't nearly grate against the eyes as bad.
Definitely true. And they did a real good job, both with the hanging orange lights, and there's another hallway that has sort of blue ones on the wall that almost look like, it almost looks like sort of a blowtorch type deal.
Sure.
And they look really nice, and the lighting really helps to just smooth things out. And in general, it just looks good. It's got the stone textures, which we've talked about many times. They're pretty much mostly ageless, which is good. And they did a good job with keeping stuff spread out. Like every place you go, there's never just an empty, boring, barren hallway. There's always some weapon racks to the side, or a barrel with some candles on it, or just something to sort of break things up and keep it from just being a really monotonous hallway.
So now, they are big on hallways, though. I mean, you get a hallway when you enter, you get the hallway full of slimes, then you get a hallway full of more guys. The second hallway full of guys has several busted statues in it. Do statues just fall over like that? Like, honestly, like, I mean, it's not like we've bombed the place or anything. Oh, Blizzard, I have to take points from you for this. One of these, unless this is two halves. Okay, never mind. It's two halves of his face. I was like, you put two heads in one statue. It's two halves of the same face.
You know, maybe they're still putting the statue together, and those are just the pieces that they shipped in.
And they just piled them up. Hey, this looks good right here.
Yeah, it's just like, I'll glue this crap together later. I'm gonna go take a nap, and then we just show up and kill everybody.
Oops. But on top of that, I mean, it's nice that sometimes they try and fill dungeons with, they try and fill them with stuff to make it feel a little bit less empty. But this one at least is filled with more realistic things. Tables of food, training dummies, hammocks, instead of like, oh, there's a random pile of corpses over here. Like, this one feels so much more realistic in terms of what it's meant to be, instead of some that it's like, why would you leave that there? Why is that there?
Yeah, it makes sense, because a lot of the stuff here is what you would expect if you went into a horde. Well, I don't want to say horde anymore, because this isn't really the horde, but it's sort of the horde military building. They've got the stuff you would expect. They've got suits of armor, weapons. The training dummies especially were a nice touch. I quite liked seeing those. Some of it's laid out a little weird. For example, in the second hallway, after you fight the first boss, there is a bunch of cannonballs, a cannon, and what I presume to be a barrel of gunpowder right next to a giant flaming brazier, which doesn't seem terribly safe or well thought out.
They're fellow orcs. They don't have to concern themselves with things like safety.
Yeah, well, it's their loss if they get blown up.
So what then would you like to grade ambience, sir?
Ambience is really good. Honestly, aside from a few
nitpicky things like the stupid lava.
A few things that are a little jaggier than they should be. And once again, that lava, which is really, really bugging me. Aside from that, the place looks really good. I have no problem giving it a B+.
Honestly, I'm going to be more generous than that, and I'm actually going to give it an A-. I don't really see any of the jagged things that you're describing. And maybe I'm not really looking as closely as you might be at some things, but like they've actually, and I don't believe I've seen like some of like the tabards and stuff that are hanging down in this place before, and that to see something like the ones on the walls that actually have the shattered hand emblem on them, that's a nice difference to see rather than just the copy pasted horde symbol, which is in here too. But it just gives a much better aesthetic in here. The only thing that I am really holding is the strange lava, and just it has aged, and while stone textures age well, it still shows its age pretty harshly. So A- for me. Can't average that out between the two. We need Evan here for that third breaker. Let's go into gameplay though. So with gameplay, the thing that I immediately both noticed and remembered about this is that this place is an AoE character's paradise. Every single trash pack has like 5 dudes in it. None of them are overbearingly strong. So it's just nothing but just tons and tons and tons of just spamming AoE for trash packs.
That's very true. There's also the trash packs in general don't really do that much. They don't have any interesting mechanics, at least none that I've noticed, that make them really dangerous or really special in any way. Unlike some of the other instances we've seen in Hellfire Citadel that we've reviewed in the past, these trash packs are just kind of there, I guess. They don't provide any challenge, is what I'm trying to say, basically.
Yeah, I can agree with that a lot. It's so wrong. But I guess, I mean, this is technically like where all their dudes are, right? Like, this is the main place for their soldiers and to like be training and to be resting. So I guess, a lot of the trash is just because there technically should probably be more than even what's here in terms of how many we see.
True, that would make sense. But, I don't know. I think it's an all right amount, at least for the purposes of this dungeon. Because, like, trash is really just padding in between bosses. And I think it's a decent amount of padding. Yeah, in this case, I think they got the right amount of padding. It's just the padding isn't interesting enough. It's boring padding.
On one hand, yes. On the other hand, no. I mean, some people really enjoy being able to spam AoE and to see their numbers go up. And, if that's what people want to do, then I'm not going to tell them that they shouldn't be able to do that.
Oh, it's fun to do. I won't argue that. It's one of the things that made the Tank and Spank Wrath instances very amusing, was just running in and murdering everything. But I don't know. I just like at least a little something out of my trash.
Sure. Rather than just pure AoE spam.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and now what about the bosses? What do you think on those?
I think they're pretty average bosses. There's not too much going on because, once again, it's back from BC, so the mechanics are fairly simple compared to what we're used to in this day and age. But they have enough that they're interesting to fight and not too boring.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
You had the mage guy.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
You had the warlock, the guard, the mage, and then Blade Fist.
Yeah, who's the only one whose name actually matters.
It's true, but we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, that's lore time. But they're okay. The warlock has the annoying AoE fear, which in general I just find fear mechanics really annoying, and I don't feel like they add that much to the fight. Because
they don't add that much to anything.
Yeah, you can't really do anything about it. All it does is stretch the fight out because you're running away for a few seconds instead of just fighting the guy.
Well, I mean, it used to be that some fear mechanics were pretty discouraging, were pretty harsh, because if everyone's feared, that means no one's healing and tanks aren't actively mitigating damage. So, I mean, it could be a scramble to get things back together after a fear.
That's true. I mean, it was probably a lot harder back in the day. I'm judging it more on how it is now. Than back then, because I really didn't play it much back in BC, just a few times during leveling, and that was about it. So, I kind of wish we had Evan here to give us his old school interpretation of the mechanics.
Well, I played it just a little bit back then, but it's still, I don't remember just how much it truly affected things back in the day. Memory might be a little bit spotty trying to go that far back.
Yeah, but in general, there's not much going on with the bosses. They're okay, but I don't find them to be terribly interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Was there anything in particular that stood out to you?
I have a question. And it's kind of an ambience question, it's kind of a gameplay question, it's kind of a lore question. Why is it that so many bosses that are so headstrong and, talk down to us like we're peons and stuff, keep doors locked? Like, one of those things that really made me wonder a whole bunch of, like Black Temple, Illidan is like, there's no way that you can stop me, but for some weird reason we have to sneak in through the side door. Throne of Thunder, we're like, yeah, we're gonna come crash your party. He's like, you guys are worthless against me, so I'm gonna knock down this bridge and make you fall and hopefully, just not even have to deal with you myself. And even in this dungeon, it's like, okay, this door is locked. There's a warlock on the other side. I've been told that I need to be stopped and that I'll be put in my place. So why do I have to go through this slime tunnel to be put in my place? Why can't you just open the door and blast me in the face if you're so, BA?
Well, I don't know. I think it's because they're not actually BA, as you put it, but they're just talking trash, basically. I'm not really sure because it doesn't make sense really lore-wise that they would be talking that big when they can't actually beat you. Generally, you don't talk like you're really tough unless you actually are. So, I don't know. I would say it's a case of inflated egos, but then that would be true for every single boss in the history of WoW.
Yeah.
And, yeah, that's just numerically doesn't make sense.
Oh. So, other than that, though, the bosses in here, while they just don't do a whole lot. I mean, most of them are very much tank and spank. The two casters have one ability that you can kick, but it's not as devastating if you don't. And then the final boss, who is kind of a big deal, and we'll talk about why. He is literally just tank and spank. He has a stun, but he doesn't really do any. Like, he stun for 2 seconds when he charges for somebody. If he stuns the tank, it's no big deal, because the tank is already already has the aggro. If he stuns someone who's not the tank, it doesn't do enough damage for it to really matter. The adds come too slowly to matter, so he's just literally just stand there and burst him down. So, the bosses are pretty lackluster, all in all.
Definitely. Kargath especially, since he was the final boss, and because, he's the only boss in this room that actually has, lore and actually matters. And isn't some guy made up specifically for this instance.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of a little bit disappointing having him do pretty much nothing, basically.
What are you grading the gameplay then, sir?
I'm going to grade it pretty harshly because the trash doesn't do anything and the bosses don't do enough, and Kargath is a big letdown. I'm going to say a D.
All right, I'm going to give it a C-. So, not too much better than yours. Because the trash, I don't think is bad. It doesn't have anything that, it may not be, hard trash or super exciting trash, but this trash feels very good, I think is the way that I would describe it. But the bosses really, really are kind of a disappointment. So, C- for me, D from you. So, that's a D+. I'll be glad when Evan's back next week. And let's go into lore. So the story here, hopefully it isn't too redundant in terms of, the rest of the dungeons that are tied to the same place. The big one, and I think the one that me and Florian both want to talk about, is the final boss of the dungeon, and that is Kargath Bladefist. Some of you may know and recognize this name as he is one of the warlords in Warlords of Draenor, and he is the first boss in the Highmaul raid. Same guy. Florian, what would you like to tell us about Kargath Bladefist? In terms of this rendition, not the one that we killed recently.
Well, this rendition is he's quite a bit different from the Kargath Bladefist that we met in Draenor. For one thing, unlike the one in Draenor, this Kargath Bladefist was super into the drinking the demon blood lifestyle, which is why he is a completely different color. He pretty much works for Illidan and runs this whole operation they have going on here in Hellfire Citadel. He is still the head of the Shattered Hand Clan, and he's also the war chief of the Fell Horde. Aside from that, he's pretty much the same guy. One other difference is that in this iteration, he has decided to cut off both of his hands and replace them with blades, which seems like an absolutely terrible idea. I gotta wonder how he eats food or goes to pee or anything like that. It's
carefully.
Terribly,
very carefully.
Terribly dangerous proposition. But yeah, aside from that, it's pretty standard Kargath.
And so, other than that, though, I mean, they don't. At this point, we're going into the Shattered Halls not because anything bad is happening. We're just trying to clear out and clean out the rest of the Fell Horde, right? I'm gonna go in here, kill Kargath. That way, the Fel orcs are, without a leader. We also take out the bulk of their elite force. And then after this is when we go down there and finish busting up Magtheridon, since we, kind of killed his jailers.
Pretty much. We're just showing up to clean up. And that's the extent of this instance. It's not very complex reasoning behind going here.
Okay, so did Kargath cut off his own other hand? Because we know now from the stories of war, whatever they are, of how Kargath lost his first hand. He smashed it off with a rock to escape captivity. How did he lose his second hand? Do we know?
We don't know for sure. It's never explicitly stated whether he chose to cut it off or whether he lost it in a battle. I'm going to assume he probably lost it in a battle, because when you only have one hand left, you kind of want to keep it. And hands are really useful for literally everything.
Yeah.
So I'm going to assume he got in a fight with somebody.
Okay.
Who knows when and where this happened, though. It's a story that hasn't been told.
Okay, and looking at the information we have for the other bosses, the first Warlock, he was one of the shamans of the Shadow Moon clan, and when Gul'dan, went all Fel magic, he was like, hell yeah, give me some of that. The guard, he was a leader of the assault on Shatrath, apparently. But he got hurt pretty bad by trying to fight off a whole bunch of paladins. And then the Ogre Magi, he is one of the Fel Horde's deadliest members. And like most ogres, he can't agree on anything. So he's really weak even by the Dungeon Journal standpoint. So they're pretty meaningless. They're random guys that happen to make it somewhere and then died by our hands, like as everyone does. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if a Grim Reaper exists. I'm pretty sure the Grim Reaper is just our characters at this point.
Possibly. It would make a lot of sense. It would make a lot of sense.
What then would you like to grade lore, Florian?
Lore is tough to grade because there's not that much of it, but Kargath is an important guy. I'm going to say B. There's nothing wrong with the lore. It's okay.
I think with all of the lore that existed in the other dungeons and the raid, this one really falls the flattest. Because, like, with the with Hellfire Ramparts, that's us, like, first getting in the door, storming the barricades and all of that. With Blood Furnace, there was a very legitimate purpose in there, because they are, using the blood of Magtheridon to do some evil stuff. This one, though, I just feel like this one is literally, like, just, going, like, even with Kargath being in there, I still feel like it's just go in there, kill the guys, kill the boss, and leave, rather than why is this important? Just go do it. So it's actually going to receive a D from me. Kargath doesn't actually have any involvement in the story of the dungeon. He just happens to be in there, and you don't even get any interaction with him outside the dungeon. So it was just kind of like a very poor callback to, somebody that we have now. So that puts lore at a C. What is that? C, a D plus, and a awkward A, an awkward BA. So that puts it at I'm going to say a B minus over. No. I'm just going to say a C plus overall. Yeah, that sounds about right on terms of our terrible averages. Really, even though Hellfire Ramparts is much shorter, I still think that the first two dungeons have a lot of game over this one. I think this one is actually the weakest of the dungeons. What would you think?
I would agree with that. This one felt almost tacked on, like they were like, oh crap, we need to make up another dungeon for Hellfire Citadel, let's just slap this together. Because the first two had a pretty consistent, first you were attacking the ramparts to weaken it, and then you were going in and clearing things out so you could get them, what's the guy's name, Magtheridon, and then the raid itself is of course fighting him. And then this one just feels like, well, we wanted to do another instance, so we just did this.
Okay, I have a question though, because Manaroth, the original Pit Lord, was able to control the orcs that drank his blood. If these orcs have been drinking Magtheridon's blood, after we free Magtheridon and Blood Furnace, why can't he control them? Like, I feel like both the raid and this dungeon could have been smushed together, and it would have made it a lot better, and just had Gargath as, like, a boss before Magtheridon.
That's very difficult to say. It would make a lot of sense for Magtheridon to be able to control these guys, and I'm not sure why he can't. Maybe Illidan did some sort of magical shenanigans. I mean, he is a mage, so I honestly have no idea. That's all I can say.
I don't know either.
It's weird. Really weird.
Out of the dungeons, though, if you like to base... we've had a couple people say that they are encouraged to go back and try these dungeons after we review them. I still encourage you to go back and try it, but if you are trying to choose which ones you do or don't want to do, leave this one out of your list if it's a matter of do or die on the 3. It really is the weakest. I don't know if it is the weakest in terms of grades. I think this grade might be different if we had Evan here. I intend to have him... I messaged him a few days ago, and he did not agree with our grades for Lower Blackrock Spire at all, by the way. So we'll be bringing that back up. Not a full review, but I want to hear his defense, because I'm not sure if he was being facetious or not, but he was like, oh, A's across the board. I'd give that dungeon A's all the way through and through. And I'm like, really? So I want to hear his defense come next week when he returns to our side, as well as for this dungeon as well, just because I want to know how different the grades would be if we had our third man here to balance it out for us.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, everybody, short show today. With Evan gone and with us kind of just waiting on the patch, I didn't want to just try and give you some filler. We'll be back to full strength with full closer looks and all of that beautiful goodness next week. If you would like to get in contact with the show, we would have done mail this week if we had any. We didn't have any. Please send us some mail or some feedback, iTunes reviews, 5 stars. They really help the show. They help by, if someone searches for like World of Warcraft on iTunes, it makes our show show up higher up on the list of searches. So it enables more people to come in and for us to expand the show. You can also send us feedback and questions via our email at thecastbar@gmail.com. Send us a tweet on Twitter at Castbar Podcast. Call and leave us a voicemail at 508-738-2278. You can also send us feedback and questions via our website. There's a form under the Contact Us page on our website at www.thecastbar.com. You can find all of our old shows on our website, iTunes, Stitcher, and YouTube. For the music for our bumpers is all done by a gentleman named Kevin MacLeod. You can find all of his work at incomtech.com. It's all royalty-free under the Creative Commons License Attribution 3.0, which means you can use it and give him credit, or you can pay it and not. If you'd like to get a hold of me, my Twitter is at SchwahnMichael. That is SchwahnMichael. Evan is not here, but he has a Twitter that he likes to be quite active on, and that is at EDCWow. Florian, do you have anything that you'd like to add?
Yeah, send us mail. We want mail. Lots of mail. All the mail.
Florian loves mail, and I love mail. I don't know how Evan's feelings are on mail, but
he loves mail.
He loves mail.
Speak for him.
Okay. We put a lot of stock into the mail. We actually devote a healthy amount of time to any question we have, assuming that we do have answers for it, which we've never not. So don't think a question is too big or too small. We would love to have it, and we can borderline guarantee that it'll be on the show. Yeah. Anything else for him before we get out of here?
That's it.
Have a good week, everybody.
You are out of time.